Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica here with
Kaevon, founder and CEO of Bells of Steel.
And today we're going to talk about the origins of Bells of Steel. Tell us about Bells of Steel. Tell us about the original idea.
I guess, like the name implies, that I started it kind of out of my own need, in particular for kettlebells. I was living in Calgary at the time. I think it was about 2007 or 8. And I've been training. I'm 37 now. I've been training since I was 12 years old. Back when I was a young man and there was no internet, I was mostly just doing kind of bodybuilding stuff. And obviously nowadays people have a lot more access to cool programs and actual ways to train and be healthier. It's like 2007 that I almost had this like awakening of what I actually wanted to do. And that's kind of with the rise of YouTube. I think I got into kettlebells first. I took a course, learned about them, and then I started going more and more down the rabbit hole. Got really into this coach named Joe DeFranco. And there was all these cool things that I wanted to train with, but I was in Canada and I couldn't really get them there. And so I started to try and figure out how to get them. And I was working at a fitness equipment store at the time. And my boss was importing from Asia, bringing in like treadmills and dumbbells and more conventional stuff. And then I asked him to, can I like piggyback on some of your containers, bring in some kettlebells and some bumper plates, things like that. In particular, pro-grade bells. And there was like a handful of places in North America you get pro-grade bells.
Yeah, back in 2007, I think the only ones I had were the Fedorenkos.
Yeah.
And it was years before anybody else started making other good competition bells. It was all dominated by hardstyle bells at that time.
That's right, yeah.
But so many hardstyle bells had horrible handle to globe geometry, and it was always a toss-up whether what you paid $300 for was going to be useful or a doorstop, and you had no recourse.
Yeah, I had this buddy in Calgary who I did kettlebells with too, and he was really pushing me. He's like, "Oh, get some pro-grade bells from Asia." I put in my first purchase order, got some pro-grade bells, bumper plates, a few other things, and was selling them out of the back of my car on Craigslist and through my network. And yeah, that's like, I guess, the first part of it.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating because so many companies started by just trying to get good kettlebells and then branch out from there. Yeah. Where are you at now? Because you offer so many different offerings now. Also, some of my favorite pro-grade kettlebells out there. But now you have so many products. What's your main focus now?
How I operate and how a lot of companies still operate, they kind of go to a manufacturer in Asia, and the manufacturer has just a catalog, and you pick things off the shelf and say I want those and those and those, and then you put them on your website and sell them. And so over the years, it wasn't my focus until about 2017. It was mostly to fuel my own lifestyle. I was really into competitive rugby and training and traveling and whatever. And then I tore my bicep and moved to the country, and I was like, all right, I'm doubling down on this. And I always tinkered with stuff. I think the very first thing I came out with that nobody else did was a roller J-cup on power racks. They're kind of more common now. And so I'd tinker like that. And now I'm getting into full design mode, stuff from the ground up. But then also, as Bells of Steel's grown and I have a warehouse and started getting in more into just commodity products, I call them. So plates and generic off-the-shelf things.
Yeah, I have some of your dead bounce bumper plates, and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. They're way beyond what I used to have in my gym. I got them, and I was like, oh, that's a sexy plate. It's weird when you've been in the industry long enough that you really like sexy equipment, that you see it and you can tell the difference immediately when you pick it up between an old crumb bumper plate and a dead bounce plate. And they're totally vastly different. And you're like, wow, I wish I would have had this 10 years ago. My whole life would have been different. The thing that I like about your company is I see all these different designs coming out where I'm like, that's a good idea. Why have we not been doing that? Yeah. Something I saw was your flat pack jump box where you had chopped the corners off of it, which I thought was hilarious because I don't know how many times you've been at CrossFit or you've seen a CrossFit video of somebody jumping, slipping off, and biffing it directly on the corner of a box. So I like the idea of the developing equipment from the ground up. to get better and better and better product over time.
Well, you know, at Bell Steel, we don't normally like to cut corners, but
Well, you cut the corner for the right reason.
yeah. So more innovative stuff, but then also like more commodity stuff because our reputation as a company has kind of grown so much. So I'm the visionary, and my partner Brian is an integrator, and he helps bring my visions to life and make them sustainable business things. So I'm spending a lot of my time developing products and building big relationships like this. So yeah, I've got to do some pretty cool creative stuff. And then with COVID too, there was this like hiatus where we were just trying to like turn product over as fast as possible, so we didn't get to develop anything really new for like 2 years.
Because everybody just needed the basic stuff for during COVID.
Yeah, we kind of put our product development on hold because we just needed to produce the stuff we knew people liked and would sell well as fast as possible. But during those 2 years, I was working with an engineer and my own ideas, coming up with a lot of stuff. So yeah, a lot of product development happening.
Like, because people just got mad into kettlebelling because it was the first time I think people saw the true value of it. You can be locked in your house for 2 years with this chunk of iron and legitimately get in better shape than you've ever gotten in your entire life, and then to build out from there. Kettlebells are such, like, I call them like a gateway drug to actual fitness.
Yeah, right.
Because you don't have to go anywhere. You can do it at home. They're relatively inexpensive. And then once they understand the core concept, it builds out. But then you can decide to get into the other cool stuff that's out there. Like, I love hex bar deadlifts. You make the best hex bar I've ever seen. And it's just, it's cool. Once you get beyond a certain point, you know you're going to survive all the other types of training. And then there's companies out there innovating all this new gear to make that stuff possible.
You know, I have all this equipment now in my home gym, developing all this new stuff. I was teaching a kettlebell seminar a couple weeks ago in the Calgary showroom, and I was just like, man, I love these things. Like, they're so basic, but
they never go bad.
Swing. Yeah.
If you run out of stuff to do, I always train for a couple of months and I'll start an idea and I'll just hammer the living shit out of it. And then I'll kind of get sick of it for a little bit and I'll jump or I'll go on a trip and then I'll come back and I'll come up with some new thing to do. And it's never stopped. I started about the same time as you, 2006 or so. And you just, every year you come up with something else. You always think you're at the end of the idea, but you're never at the end of the idea.
Yeah.
During COVID, I discovered my buddy up at Seattle Kettlebell Club was like, just don't put it down for 30 to 60 minutes.
Oh,
and I was like, oh. And so you went from that 10-minute set being the hardest thing you've ever done to figuring out how to endure for 20 minutes and then 22 minutes, all the way up to 60 minutes. And I think I got to 60 minutes with like a 29K or something. And you were just like, it took 2 years, but you just kept hammering the idea over and over and over again. So much fun. Thank you to Kaevon for showing up here to talk to us about all this stuff. We're going to continue to make a series of videos just where we nerd out on nerdy fitness shit because that's a fun thing to do.